Then he brought me out into the outer court, the way toward the north, and he brought me to the chamber which was opposite the separate area and opposite the building toward the north. Along the length, which was 100 cubits, was the north door. The width was 50 cubits. Opposite the 20 cubits which belonged to the inner court, and opposite the pavement which belonged to the outer court, was gallery corresponding to gallery in 3 stories. Before the chambers was an inner walk 10 cubits wide, a way of 100 cubits, and their openings were on the north. Now the upper chambers were smaller because the galleries took more space away from them than from the lower and middle ones in the building, for they were in 3 stories and had no pillars like the pillars of the courts. Therefore the upper chambers are set back from the ground upward, more than the lower and middle ones. As for the outer wall by the side of the chambers, toward the outer court facing the chambers, its length was 50 cubits. For the length of the chambers which were in the outer court was 50 cubits, and behold, the length of those facing the temple was 100 cubits. Below these chambers was the entrance on the east gate, as one enters from the outer court. In the thickness of the wall of the court toward the east, facing the separate area and facing the building, there were chambers. The way in front of them was like the appearance of the chambers which were on the north. According to their length, so was their width, and all their exits were both according to their arrangements and openings. Corresponding to the openings of the chambers which were toward the south was an opening at the head of the way in front of the wall toward the east, as one enters them. Then he said to me, the north chambers and the south chambers, which are opposite the separate area, they are the holy chambers where the priests who are near to the Lord shall eat the most holy things. There they shall lay the most holy things, the grain offering, the sin offering, and the guilt offering, for the place is holy. And when the priests enter, then they shall not go out into the outer court from the sanctuary without laying there their garments in which they minister, for they are holy. They shall put on their garments. Then they shall approach that which is for the people. Now when he had finished measuring the inner house, he brought me out by the way of the gate which faced toward the east, and measured it all around. He measured on the east side with the measuring reed 500 reeds by the measuring reed. He measured on the north side 500 reeds by the measuring reed. On the south side he measured 500 reeds by the measuring reed. He turned to the west side and measured 500 reeds with the measuring reed. He measured on the 4 sides. It had a wall all around, the length 500 and the width 500, to divide between the holy and the profane.